My fellow Kenyans, I return to you again regarding our students who begins tomorrow to stream to university and TVET colleges that have been admitted to study in a bid to appease a rather tense parentage in Kenya. I think the government has splashed in our dailies the model of funding that has been very contentious over the last few months. Because data, facts, and statistics are more supreme than emotion, I wish to respond in a bid to understand the parent of the poor family and the children that goes to the university tomorrow. To begin with, that explanation splashed in the papers is hogwash. It reeks of insensitive and incorrigible folly, because essentially what the papers are trying to say is bringing out the new university model report that was published by Munavu Presidential Working Party. If you didn't read that report, what the papers have done today is to directly pull the content from that report and splash it to your eyes. Why? Because the papers and the government spin masters know that you do not read. They know you don't read. Had you read the Munavu report, the Presidential Working Party report, had you read the modalities of a new funding model, the thing they are calling band 1, band 2, band 3, band 4 would not be making sense. Would be making sense to you. It would be senseless. If you had read that report, the kind of explanation they have sponsored in the first paper, in the first pages of these papers, will be bullshit. So it's important for me to say this. And this is my message to government, especially the Ministry of Education. Cabinet Secretary and your PS for Higher Education, Wakili Kanso Bigambo and Beatrice Nyangala. Why are you beating around the bush? Why? Whom are you pleasing? Both of you are products of a system of university education and of a model of funding that never failed. Indeed, you two went to the university when it was absolute panacea, when food, drinks, bed, and pocket money stipend was given by government. So how you come now to defeat the same system that fed you is the most absurd thing I have ever witnessed. You know, I am just saying, as Zack, having been in that ministry, having known the gritty matters that are ailing the sector, and having known too that university education is no longer a luxury, I would want to tell you the following. Mr. CS and Madam PS, as President Ruto's most fervent advisors, I can forgive Ruto for forgetting. I can forgive him if it has escaped his mind to date how he was taken from Kamagut by government decree to come to the University of Nairobi to study. That everything was provided for him. He had the luxury of all the beverages. He had the luxury of all the protein. Call them pork, call them chicken, call that goat, call that lamb, call that beef, call that sausage. They would eat like a king in the palace. Consistently, government has been removing the luxury for students in the university in the name of funding, in the name of money. But we must not take it to the grave. Finally, please go back to DUC. Simple, differentiated unit cost funding model. Go back to it. Forget about this student-centered Blah, 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 blah. What? This one is a disaster. It's a recipe. Where are the facts? These are the facts. Last year, 157,000 students were admitted to the university. Under this defunct model of new funding, student-centered, this that we are calling Band 1, Band 2, Band 3, 74,000 to date have not joined the university. Why? Because government has no system of telling which family belongs to which band. Indeed, because we are an irregularly structured society, we cannot tell whether a poor parent in the city is the same poor parent in the rural area. Indeed, a rich man in Nairobi could be the poorest among the pastoralists. Because how can the government tell the wealth of a pastoralist if it is not formalized in banking, in taxation, in assets? How? How can you tell? I think it is important that to avoid education access inequity, that we revert back to the model that is known, that has been working, that government can track the student who has been admitted all the way to the courses they've been admitted to do. Otherwise, if you are admitting students from tomorrow with this new funding model because you have sent misleading information in the papers, woe unto you. Woe unto you. I will keep crying about equity towards education funding in Kenya because I have been sufficiently informed by Nelson Mandela that education is the only tool that we can use to change the world, and that education equalizes the rich and the poor, and that education is the class breaker. The barriers of class can only be broken by education. Zack, had I not come to the University of Nairobi, and had government started putting up lame excuses as the one I see today on paper, I would not have amounted into anything. And many of you listening to me here are products of education. By the way, do you know some of us came to Nairobi because of university? Do you know that? Some of us would not have come anywhere near Thika. Some of us would not have come anywhere after Nakuru. Some of us would not have come from Mlolongo. Beyond Mlolongo would have been a distant dream for many. Beyond Kitengela, children who were admitted in the university, they came to the university, and then life began there. We must love our country the way our country loved us. We must speak for our children the way those who came before us, the likes of Kabando or Kabando, spoke for us. If we do not speak as the so-called pseudo-elites, we will see a denigrated education dimwits as the future of our society. So my punchline is, return back to DUC model. Forget about this new funding model that you're calling student-centered. It is a very escapist and vague model where you say the poor will almost get no payment. But they were almost paying nothing. Why now? Forget about privatizing this education. I am afraid that this is being driven, inspired by private universities and people who own education institutions. Forget about this. Let's go back to the normal. When the child passes Form 4, let them get 100% government funding. And if not, 80% like we did. And then they can pick loan from HELB to augment the 20%. Why do I speak as if I am in the university? One, I am neither in the university nor my children. They are still very young. But there shall be a day, if I don't speak for them now, they might find the situation worse, and they will remember that their father spent his time speaking about things that did not talk about us. It is about my children, it's about your children. Drop this draconian funding model. Have a good Sunday.